Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, I still have some kaiju stuff to review for you folks, which is fine, I'm usually reviewing B movies anyway. So yes, it's Ebirah Horror of the Deep. That's today's feature I'll be talking about today folks. It's the 7th installment of the original Godzilla series. Well, it's more of of an Ebirah, or it's mostly focused on this terrorist organization, I guess. So Godzilla's more like a side character in this. Whatever. So yeah, it's the one that takes place on the island. So I guess you can't really blame the movie for trying to be a bit different compared to the previous installments. So yeah, I can say I gave credit when credit is due. So that's definitely a good thing there. So yeah, this one I'll definitely want to review because Uh, since Godzilla is in it, even if it's for a brief time, I guess it still counts as a monster movie. I guess there's fighting in here. So anyway, I'm gonna be reviewing the Blu-ray version. Yes, it's gonna be one of those few times where I actually review a Blu-ray Godzilla film. From this era and any other era actually. I don't review the Blu-ray versions that often. That's mostly because they're really expensive actually. I mean, really, holy shit, expensive.
Well, the one I'm talking about on Blu-ray, it's $37.77. So that is still a bit steep when you think about it. And of course, this is one of the lowest prices you can find. Some other places might charge you more, and this is from Amazon, by the way. So I guess it just depends where you go. I guess whatever.
Even though I found a copy of the same movie in Fry's for about $8. Yep, that's a lot cheaper than what's being compared to online.
What? What the fuck?
Another thing, I guess it has something to do with the fact with supply and demand. So yeah, this Blu-ray copy, I should say, was released by this company, which is an American home video company which focuses on licensing important classic and commentary films and selling them to Sony areas. And this company has helped to pretty much standardize the characteristics of home videos as such as film restoration and of course the ladder box format for widescreen films, adding bonus features and commentary tracks, stuff in that nature. So I guess that's a good thing there. So this company has been around for quite some time. It was founded in 1984. So, but the thing is that, folks, the American version went under the title of Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. Well, I'm going to go by the Japanese title, which is Ebirah Horror of the Deep. But the thing, folks, the Japanese version I'm talking about does contain subtitles, and that's about it really. Maybe like a trailer, and yeah, despite that and the high quality of picture and sound, that's about it really. So it doesn't behind the features extras is not really all that special, unfortunately. So anyway, as always, let's talk about the plot, shall we? So here we go. Anyway, let's begin, shall we? We get to see that the film opens with this ceremony kind of a thing because there's this relative that's disappeared, so they're trying to give some sort of spiritual guidance or whatnot. But they will amount to something in later on in the movie. So in the meantime, at first we get to see that there's this dancing contest tournament kind of a thing, and whoever wins will get the prize of a boat. And of course, they're all young people and whatnot. Suddenly, this becomes an Elvis movie. Yeah, so it feels like it at first anyway. So, but the thing is, yeah, we get to see that there's this criminal type character who actually stole one of these boats, but our main characters get caught up with what he's doing. When our main characters didn't exactly win the contest really, but they decided to go on anyway at night and trying to see some of these boats. But the thing is that they hop on board and try to take one of these for themselves. And that criminal happens to be on that ship anyway, coincidentally enough. And then in the morning, they realize, oh, look, they're off somewhere. But things don't exactly work out as they would want. Because, disaster happens and they land on this island. And yeah, so okay, a tropical type island. So you might be thinking it might be cool and whatnot. But then suddenly we get to see that there's this woman, yep, a female character becoming an important part of the story, which became pretty typical for these films at this point when I think about it. But things get worse when you realize that there's this terrorist organization that's running the place. So yeah, turned out that these terrorists will basically kidnap people from Infant Island where Martha lives and get used. Organization that basically kidnapped her people from Infant Island to use them as slaves to make some sort of liquid to keep the giant monster away, which is Ebirah, of course. And from this point, they pretty much become friends with this woman, trying to make it as if she could somehow be free somehow from these monsters and terrorists and whatnot. So okay, let me see here. Let me try and get this straight. You thought this would be a beautiful tropical island, but then turns out they have to run for their lives. But it's not a beautiful beaches kind of thing like you wanted. But there's also, of course, Godzilla eventually comes part of the story. So yeah, as if that's not dangerous enough, there's the risk of the fact that these terrorists will want to kill you. Of course, if you don't agree with them. And yeah, so much for fun in the beach, so to speak. And then, of course, there's the whole crab monster Ebirah that they had to worry about, of course. So yeah, sounds like a bunch of crazy stuff going on in this one movie, folks. Lots and lots of crazy. Well, still makes a lot more sense than this moron right here, folks. Yep, the plot of this movie does make more sense than this guy. Yeah, I said it. Anyway, of course, we're going to see the fairies in this film, which I'm fine with because they pretty much became a franchise at this point. So yes, of course, it's up to a woman, okay, in this case, women, to help out the other characters as well. They have to wake up Mothra with the aid of the natives as well. So yes, it's up to them to save pretty much everyone. So yeah, it's the whole thing, the whole idea of women doing the right thing. Yeah. And we see the Star Wars fanboys, the toxic fanboys anyway, bitching about Disney having a female lead. Yeah. You realize this was part of a cinema long before, right? Anyway. Yeah. This kind of thing has been an important part of the overall story of these films. At the very least, at least for the most part anyway. And I do like that, and it's basically continuing that tradition of these films, having a woman trying to do the right thing and whatnot. Of course, it's never meant to be in your face about it. It's never meant to make it like it's better than everyone else. No, not of course not. So anyway, that's a bit political, so what? So anyway, I did like the fact that yeah, the human characters have to find a way to wake up Godzilla because this character is going to be the one to scare off the terrorists, of course, and fight off the Ebirah, the crab-like creature, of course. Yes, we get a monster fight in this film. Which, again, I have to say, is based on another tradition in these films. We see monster fights, because of course. So yeah, folks, that's definitely a thing here, obviously. Another thing I would definitely want to make a note of here is that the music. It's definitely noticeable of the music. The music definitely does help to bring up a really, really lively tone throughout the entire movie. So yes, without it, maybe like any other kind of music, you get like this type music that makes everything seem really lively at times, of course. Which I'm totally fine with because it does match the overall tone of the film anyway. So can't complain about that really. So anyway, the music does in fact help the music and the musical overtone kind of a thing. So I mean, yes, music has always been important in these films, and that's the thing. That's something that I definitely would say that not really a whole lot of people bring it up. Really, the fact that music does play an important part of these films, just like the whole female bit I just mentioned a moment ago. So I do like the fact that it does take place in a tropical kind of island, or a seemingly peaceful tropical island, because it does want to keep things refreshing, I guess. Make it as though that it doesn't keep it more, I guess, interesting. And I did like the fact that basically Godzilla himself was destroying everything. He went after everybody, which does make sense considering the fact that he's a giant monster and he's not really on anybody's side, really. So he's gonna go after everybody, and that's basically what he did in this film. He went after everyone. I thought that was pretty cool. He went after the terrorists. He went after Mothra. He went after the crab thing. Basically, he fought everybody. So of course, the terrorist organization was going to try to fight back with their own military, like always. Yep. Which became typical at this point because the military is often used in these films, and of course, they always fail. Anyway, yeah, I didn't mind the fact that there was a woman here, folks. Of course, because like I said, this became a trademark of the series. Having a woman be a part of the story somehow, I guess. And like I said a moment ago, I really like the fact that there was the destruction scenes throughout the entire movie. The sets in here were actually nice. Having it just stop around. So those, I mean, yes, it's not in the city really. It's not really in the city at all. But yeah, it's on an island. He's pretty much stopping around with factories and whatnot on an island. That's pretty cool. I really like that. So I guess I can't really blame the movie for trying to be a bit more different compared to the other sequels, the other installments in the franchise. I mean, that's the thing. You can keep a series of films going and 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 going. It's eventually get tiring. So I'm guessing here that this is their way from to prevent that, of course, and have some sort of crazy stuff going on. Of course, obviously with the story and whatnot. So the story itself serves its purpose. I can't really complain about the story really because it does what it's supposed to do. The overall plot it does what it's supposed to do exactly. So yeah, there's that, folks. And like I said before, I'm referring to the Japanese version, of course, and I did watch the entire film with English subtitles, which is of course is an option for this movie. There's not really much to the extras, really. Like I was saying earlier, the extras themselves are pretty bare bone. Unfortunately, there's not much I can say for the extras because there's nothing there. I mean, yes, there's the high quality, top notch picture, sure, and the overall top notch quality of the sound. That was really nice. So, but that's about it. There's not really much to the extras, special features really. So that's a bit disappointment. So if you do ultimately pay the high price for this film, so just don't expect a whole lot from the extras because unfortunately there aren't that many. I mean, yes, of course, I would have loved it if it had more extras than that. Of course, I would have loved it if it had much more than that. But unfortunately, it just doesn't have it, folks. It just doesn't have that at all. So, yeah, I just want to let you guys know whoever's watching this anyway. Yes, I know a lot of people they seem to give this film a lot of flack because of this conjure over here, folks, which does show up in the film rather briefly. And yes, I mean, come on, even Godzilla himself fought this thing. So when I said he's fighting everybody, I mean he's fighting everyone. Personally, folks, I actually like this character, this monster thing. So I thought it was pretty cool. I know a lot of people didn't like this monster really, but personally speaking, I did. I guess it was kind of like a realistic look for giving like a giant bird thing. It reminded me of like those big old birds you might have heard about when it comes to the prehistoric age of dinosaurs or some shit like that. Yeah, it really reminded me of that. So anyway, yes, of course, Martha's in here again. And that's fine. That's totally fine because she became a pretty popular character with this series of films anyway, so it does make sense to have her appear in here, folks. So there's that. And I like that. I like that fact she's in here, folks. So that's pretty cool. Of course, the other character I of course have to mention is that, of course, Godzilla himself. He's not really in this movie, really. So, like we're saying, it doesn't really feel like a Godzilla film, really. He's more of a side character, if anything. It didn't bother me too much, really, because the overall story was focusing on the other things with the humans or whatever. And that alone was pretty interesting enough, I guess. And finally came along and fought a bunch of shit, of course, which he typically does anyway, and destroys a bunch of stuff, which again he typically does. And yes, there's a brand new monster as well, Ebirah. I thought Ebirah was pretty cool, folks. This big old creature. I did wish that it could have made more monsters like this in in these series of films. More creatures like this would have been nice. But well, what I have here in this film is pretty cool. The fight scene is pretty cool. The fight scenes overall in this film were actually pretty cool in my eyes. And it does kind of remind me of pro wrestling to some degree, but whatever. So the fight scenes were nicely done as a whole, at least in my eyes, anyway. And also the destruction scenes were pretty good. I like the destruction scenes in this film, folks. Like I said, I didn't really mind the human story in this film, folks. So yeah, there was the one character who lost his brother in the South Pacific in a fishing boat accident. Believes in the prediction made by the spiritual individual that his brother's still alive. The whole spiritual thing I was mentioning on earlier, folks. So he comes to Tokyo to have a look for a way to get it to his brother. There he does meet a few college students, and later this thief I was mentioning, of course, in this sailboat. And of course, to put them stuck together from that point on. So of course, while everyone was sleeping, the character does set sail to that specific part of the world, South Pacific, in order to find and search for his brother. So let's just say, in a stormy sea, that the sailboat pretty much runs and goes off on this island. And of course, things get crazy when they discover these terrorists I brought up earlier. So I guess you can say they're the human bad guys of the story. They're the human bad guys of the story. But in some ways, what makes this kind of creepy is that this kind of thing could happen in real life. Just look at what people have done over the years, folks. Yeah, the human nature can be a disgusting thing. Well, when they can be, anyway. I'm not saying every single person is like this. Just goes to show you when certain individuals have a certain amount of influence politically, or just when they have some sort of money and power and some sort of influence as a whole. This kind of a thing, of course, happens, unfortunately, folks. So, yeah, it just made me think of that. It just made me remember that kind of a thing. So, yeah, it makes it seem a bit more gloomy when you think about it, which I don't mind, really. So, yeah, having a good human villain in the story can make stuff rather interesting if done properly, of course. And I can say that this is something that can definitely be great overall. So, yeah, I like this. I didn't mind this aspect of this film, really. So, I'm trying to say that if you're going to have a human villain in the story and make them be a bunch of assholes, that's fine. Be my guest. Make them be total assholes. That's fine. Like I said earlier, just want to kidnap these people from the infant island and pretty much use them as slaves, which humans have done before in real life when you think about it. So, yeah, that doesn't seem much of a stretch when you think about it, to use a group of people for their own needs and not really care about their own well-being. So, yeah, like I said, it doesn't seem that much of a stretch that this kind of thing would actually happen. So, there was that. You do need some sort of human drama in the story anyway, because you have to have a reason for me to care. So there's that. And yes, on the whole woman thing I brought up before, I didn't mind that really, because this kind of characters were often part of the story anyway from the very beginning. So having them continue that in this film does go along with the story. So I didn't mind that really. So again, it's not really in your face. It does happen. It doesn't come off pretentious or anything. So yeah, by all means, continue this type of story. And of course, even from whole native homeland, they're trying to have some sort of help spiritually speaking or what have you. So that seems pretty cool right there. I mean, it's made up anyway. This entire thing's it's all fantasy when you think about it, but whatever. So altogether, that this film was definitely something I can say was it's actually not that bad really. I actually did enjoy this film as a whole. I like this movie. I really did, and I did like the fact that they were trying to have some sort of grand story as a whole. And in a lot of ways, they actually did, of course. So I can say that this film definitely took up some sort of different formula compared to the other films. Of course, that's totally fine by me. I didn't mind that really. So they're trying to have some sort of crazy thing going on. And this did prove to be a solid, entertaining film as a whole. Even though I don't think, like I said a moment ago, Godzilla was not really a major part of the story, really. But whatever, I suppose. It takes him a good while to get into the story. So anyway, the action does make sense, and I did like the fact that the monster fights are well choreographed. I did like the human side of the story, and the twin fairies made a return, of course. The music was good, and from beginning to end, I was never bored, really. So I did think that this film does have a good start, a good middle, and good middle beginning and end. The beginning part was great, the middle part was great, and the ending was great too. So overall, a solid film, I can say. So I definitely can say that I wouldn't mind watching this. I have no regrets actually having this. So I did like the overall tone of this film, and I did like what they were trying to go for. I'm trying to make things seem interesting as a whole, and that's pretty cool. Like I said, I did watch the subtitled version, and I can definitely say the dialogue it does its part. Maybe the dialogue will not win any Shakespeare awards for like best written dialogue, but the dialogue itself it's it does what it's supposed to. It does what it's supposed to. It makes the points clear, of course. I didn't mind that. I did enjoy the overall idea and the monster designs. I did like the monster designs, of course. So this film does, like I was saying, does focus a lot more on the human side of things. So I didn't mind it really. Of course, I didn't mind it because the human characters often played an important part of the series. Anyway, overall, the overall series as a whole. Anyway, so again, it didn't bother me. Yes, we eventually get to see the monsters do their thing. And like I was saying earlier, I didn't mind the fight scenes, even though I do wish I could have had more fight scenes, really. But the fight scenes were pretty good for what it's worth. I know a lot of people complained about the monster designs looking ugly, but I believe that's rather nitpicky because this was not a beauty pageant. Come on, this was by no means was intended to be a beauty pageant anyway. These monsters are ugly. These monsters are supposed to look hideous. So yeah, that was that. It's supposed to be like this. Not intended to be a beauty swimsuit contest kind of a thing. I mean, unless you want to have it be interrupted by giant monsters wrecking up everything. Yeah, not that we really get crazy here, folks. Well, anyway, folks, like I was saying, this one is definitely worth the watch. So, yeah, it's not really a horror movie like the first two films of this franchise, really, but I guess they're trying to keep things, rather mixed up. I guess trying to keep it in a pretty cool way, I guess. And I don't mind the subtitles, like I was saying. I'm fine with the subtitles. It didn't bother me, really. Because that's how this film was supposed to be. This is how the film was originally supposed to be intended in this kind of way. Yep. And you can see a lot more clearer, of course. So no really cheesy, shitty dubbing. No, I'll stay away from that. Thank you very much. I'll stay away from the awful dubbing. So anyway, folks, I'm about to wrap things up. So I do thank anybody for watching this video. I know this has been a really lengthy video, of course. I know. But I do appreciate anybody's watching these long videos I'll be talking about these films. So, there's not much I can complain about this film, really. I really can't complain too much. Because it does a pretty good job of entertaining me, obviously. So yeah, I give it a props. I give it points. I give it credit for what credit is due. So anyway, I'll give this film an overall rating of a 7.3 out of 10. It's a 7.3 out of 10. And as always, thanks for watching, and take care. Until next time, see ya. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.